Welcome to Cartoonist Kayfabe. My name is Ed Piskor.
And I'm Tom Scholey, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
Super Mario Manga is the focus of today's video, and we're looking at a bunch of the strips that were printed initially in Nintendo Power magazine in from issue 32 to 45, something like that. But first I want to invite you guys to like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please hit the bell icon so that we can notify you when new videos are available, and that'll give you a leg up on everybody who starts searching for the books that we talk about each day. We call it the Kayfabe effect. You get hold of the videos earlier, you got a better shot at getting the cheapest copies of the stuff we're chatting about. And if you watch these videos to the very end, you're helping out the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel by pushing our video content out to a wider audience, and it is increasing our subscriber base, makes it possible for us to continue bringing you these regular Cartoonist Kayfabe videos. So without further ado, man, Super Mario Adventures, little trade paperback that you would be able to find at your local grocery store, magazine stand, any place where you could find Nintendo Power. This book was available, kind of like whenever there would be the special issue of Time magazine that would be focused all completely on Buzz Aldrin or something.
JFK or something.
Yeah. And perfect material for Nintendo to kind of get another bite at the apple with, dude. Comics with a spine at your local grocery store.
This is how you get comics out of the comics ghetto is with a Nintendo thing in the late 80s.
So every issue of Nintendo Power at this for about a year would have these Mario strips, and they would be voluminous, maybe 10 pages worth of content, and it became something that you would really look forward to that, man. Usually within the realm and sphere of a forthcoming game that was coming out.
Yeah, this one's tied into the Super Mario Super Mario World is what they would call it.
Yeah. This Adventures is so interesting because it's there was never a game called that.
Right, yeah.
Except in the Advance, but there was a cartoon called Super Mario Adventures. And this is a manga, Charlie Nozawa. He doesn't have much bigger credits beyond this that I was able to find. This is a pen name, but the writer, Kentaro, is the writer, one half of the, what's the...
it says even an ape can draw a comic, which we know even a monkey can
draw a manga. Yeah, that's so funny, that translation. Love the kineticism of these strips.
It moves. It just moves so in a way that we're not really accustomed to seeing in the comics we normally read here. And this is a genre within manga, where it's just the all out goofy, crazy comic, almost as a palate cleanser. In an issue of Shonen Jump or something, you'd have some serious action going on in one comic, and then you get something like this to kind of keep things light.
And it would be the comics that would be like this that really would be the ones that would be there week in, week out. Whenever they talk about, and a mangaka must get 20 pages done per week. It's even less laborious than what we're looking at here. It's not JoJo's Bizarre Adventures that's coming out each week at that level. Stuff like this where it's the reverse in manga, where you might have, your Ryoichi Ikigami character that's completely labored over here, and then he sees something that excites him, and then he turns into a cartoon. It's the opposite here.
Yeah, it turns into a little more realistic, kind of looking like Wario in that panel.
Fascinating formal stuff is done throughout.
Yeah, if you really take your time and I mean, it's a fun story. It moves fast, but if you really take your time to read the images, it pays off really nicely. There's little things gags in the background. You can follow the paths of different characters. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the comics that the uncle in Bakuman did. The uncle who died from exhaustion. These are he was one of those guys who did the goofy manga and never quite had the huge success.
So funny you say that shit, man, because the little mushroom head guy makes me think of the latest Inio Asano comic that's being serialized at Demon DDD Destruction book, the one that he's working on in Man-Ben. There's a comic within a comic there, and it's a little mushroom-headed guy like this. So it makes me wonder if maybe that had some inspiration. I think some of the aesthetics of Brian Lee O'Malley come from this. Certainly with, like, foreground characters have the super bold line, got the thin line back there. There's never one moment where they're taping down this original art to a board to roll out perspectives. So it's all drawn on the board, which I think helps keep the bounce with it, you know? Like, no need to tie the artist's hand. Just, you want to draw a castle, draw a castle.
Well, you know what else? Like, when you're doing a comic, you have to do all this creation, invention, and stuff. But when you're doing one of these, like, sort of properties, it's really nice to come in with a cast of characters that are already exquisitely designed. Like, these are just really well-designed characters, you know, designed with, like, a cartoon sensibility. And so you just pop them right into, you know, your comic, and you're off.
The artist pushes them really, really well, though, and you know, has to create points of view that you've never seen in the video games or any other literature.
Yeah, it's not like a reiteration. You know, you could imagine something like this gone horribly wrong. You know, like a reiteration of what goes on in the game. You know,
the color is something special. Couldn't quite tell if we're dealing with watercolor or markers or both, but the color is practical color. It's not mechanically separated.
Yeah, and I guess like a companion piece to this is that Zelda
A Link to the
manga,
Past, which we have a video on. We'll include a link in the description below to that also. So this is the era, right? Like you establish Yoshi.
Yeah.
And man, did you get a Super Nintendo right when it came out?
I didn't. I waited until the Zelda game came out. Then I got it.
We got one for Christmas that year. And they were really promoting Yoshi heavy. And you get to have a dinosaur and you get to have a cape. And when you turn on that game, it's like, give me Yoshi. I want Yoshi. You have to, I think you have to play 2-3 boards.
couple levels before you get to him. You know, it's funny. Like when Super Mario World came out, I was like I was kind of caught up in that Sega does what Nintendo don't kind of thing. Where it's like,
you would be that age.
Yeah, this looked, you know, kind of weak compared to Sonic, and it also didn't seem like enough of a jump forward. That Super Mario 3 was such a huge jump forward. I wanted the next one to be that kind of jump forward, and it was really good and a refinement of things, but it wasn't enough of like a quantum leap for my taste. I've come around. Of course, I love this game now, but at the time, that was the delay.
Cartoonist Kayfabe is brought to you by the comic books that we make. In stores now, Tom Scioli has Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, complete biography about the man behind the Marvel Universe in one handy bound volume, 300 pages worth of material there. Fantastic Four Grand Design is still on stands. That is Tom's version of the complete Fantastic Four story in one handy volume. On the racks right now is Red Room Trigger Warnings, 4 issues of that on your local comic shop racks at this very moment, but the Trigger Warnings trade paperback is coming out September 2022, and Jimmy has Hulk Grand Design, Monster, and Madness are in your comic shops today. The single issues, 40 pages apiece, telling the complete story of the Incredible Hulk, and around Christmas time comes the Treasury edition of Hulk Grand Design with fluorescent ink on that cover, so that thing is going to stand out a mile away. Now that we're done paying the bills, please support our comics. Let's get back to the video. Almost like a Where's Waldo kind of vibe.
Yeah, the Yoshi village, and they're like Groot. Their whole language is just Yoshi. You just say Yoshi, and it means various things. There's even like a dictionary that shows up in this.
And then the guy who runs the news corporation that April O'Neil works for in the cartoon, it just shows up into the thing.
Well, that's like what I'm talking about, of when you have the starting point of these really well-designed characters, and then you have to design your own character, and he's not up to the level of everything else.
Yeah, see any Marvel Star Wars comic from the 80s when there's like, you know, green rabbits showing up. Here goes your Yoshi, Yoshi glossary. Little Toad with a dirty Sanchez. How about that color, dude? Yeah,
great color.
And the cool thing is, like the far off distant stuff, they allow the line to be colored over also, so it's not like a dark, it's not a black line. It has a little sepia to it. It's a thinner line, so you really create great depth.
I like this. The Koopa kids have a version of Super Mario, but it's Bowser jumping on like a bunch of little Marios.
Genius. Look at that, dude. A practical way to create interlaced screen effect. Like, super imaginative. Is that Lemmy Koopa? Is that Ludwig von Koopa?
Yeah, they have Legos of all these guys now.
I like that the chick was based on Wendy O. Williams, because she's pretty hardcore for Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like, Nintendo's such a family-friendly sort of company. Dude, look at the little urchins just waiting. So cool. It's so funny because I haven't really thought about these characters, but it's like, of course, that's the Roy Orbison one.
Right.
You know, they're all musically named.
Yeah, I mean, like the last time you really contended with these characters, you didn't have as much knowledge of comics, of culture,
right. Yeah,
of history.
totally.
Yeah. I mean, it is like, it's just sort of like a nostalgia bomb, kind of, you know.
But we're really well crafted.
Yeah,
you know, it totally
yeah.
deserves a place on a Cartoonist Kayfabe channel. And one of the things that we highlight with weird stuff like this is this very easily could have been the only comics in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
This could have been a lot of people's first comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trust me, there's plenty of shitty Super Mario comics that we're sparing you. You know?
Sure, but I have no doubts that we will put Game Boy comics and some of the Valiant stuff under the microscope by, early Joe Quesada work in that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I got my, money's worth out of a couple of those, when I was a kid.
It's so funny, too, because, like, if we pull those out, I distinctly remember that there's some ads in there. One's for, like, some sort of Game Boy game, but they got Homeboy from Fist of the North Star, Hara Tetsuo, to, like, do the art, so it looks like Fist of the North Star. It looks so dope.
Yeah, and Princess Peach has been wearing like a COVID mask that for a lot of the story, and we see underneath it's Luigi in disguise, and she's wearing Luigi's outfit.
I remember these episodes of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show where Luigi and Captain Lou have to go undercover and dress up as their moms come to visit them or something.
Yeah, this is also like way higher quality than the cartoons, story.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
Absolutely, man.
They got better towards the end, but
were you sad that it was like John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins in the roles in the movie and not Captain Lou?
Yeah,
and
it
the
does
other
seem
guy?
like it does seem like a ripoff. Like, yeah, they weren't paying enough respect. I'd like to see the Super Mario movie now, but I did not want to see it when it came out.
I was so young, like I couldn't understand it, but my parents took us to the drive-in to see it. That's how we would see our movies. Mm-hmm. I don't know if my parents kayfabe the amount of people in the car, or like
right. Yeah, you're all in the trunk.
Called some scam.
A fake out ending here was good. It says the end, and then you turn the page, it's like not.
The art style changes a bit. There's like he's relying on like less ink tools or something. There's like a more of a one-stroke line to a lot of the work. This is pretty fun because like here's iteration 1 of like the smoky kind of ghost house.
Yeah.
Let's refine that. Mm-hmm. We tried it once. I think I know what I'll do to make
next
it work.
Time, yeah.
In the next round, there it is.
Yeah, and it's a nice interlude. Just, I mean, like I know, like they're pulling from the game, but just it's a nice little side road to go down.
That's the cool thing about this and like the Zelda comic is that there's so many different levels, so much vast imagery to explore with the amount of bad guys and the amount of terrain that you have to cover. So when you see the ghost houses, of course we've got to take a look and see what the ghosts are about.
Yeah.
And they still abide by the game logic.
Rules, yeah. Yeah, and then there's points where there's a ton of them and stuff, and it's just really fun to see.
And it's the whole thing, man. As long as you look at them, they don't move.
Yeah, so they're like back to back. So they're staring both directions and they're sneaking across, and then a big one's coming at them.
The first time you see the big one,
yeah,
very nerve-wracking.
Freak out, yeah. Yeah, it is. I do think about this like Super Mario stuff sometimes, like the Pavlovian response that I have to like the, you know, like if I just see like a picture of that little question mark blocks, I almost want to like tap it, you know. But yeah, they're doing the back-to-back thing.
I don't know that this came into the game. That looks
The
like
birthday cake. The birthday cake's part of the mythology now, so I don't know if it was in that game, but it did eventually. Like the Princess Peach's birthday cake is like an element.
great dynamics.
Yeah. Now, like the Daredevil Man Without Fear, and how like the final big like fight, the big set piece that takes up like a whole issue and a half. And where like it really feels like it culminates there, and the like that's how this is too. Like when you get to like the final, like okay, we're gonna go rescue the princess, it really kicks into gear nicely.
Yeah, and everybody's here, dude. Got the little mole guys. Got those one like alligator dinosaurs that you have to jump on 3 times. The centipedes guys, the cactus dudes, the multitude of Yoshis,
And they're getting stamped back into their eggs.
Genius. I hate this fuck.
Yeah, I mean he's a spoiler character, a wild card. He's like in there to like mess up your day, you know. So of course. And Thwomp, I like the way Thwomp is animated, how his spikes kind of blow in the wind and his bottom spikes flatten out.
Yeah, right there, a little squash and stretch to it. This really is inspiring me to play with markers.
Yeah.
And practical media for color. Like that's what I'm pulling away from
the color
visiting this.
I don't know how much comes across on the screen, but the color is remarkable. Like especially the magentas and things, but the color really is nice. Really hits you in the face. And for as saturated as it is, it's got a nice balance. There are like resting points in here too.
Yeah, I think that comes from allowing space in the backgrounds. Like don't draw every background.
Yeah, the backgrounds get kind of like a pastel treatment. When you said you were inspired by this, I was thinking like, I'm inspired by this. For the longest time, I've been wanting to do just like a straight up cartoony comic.
Me too.
You know, like with this kind of visual language, and it's, you know, just haven't done it yet. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm thinking that's my next thing. Like why not do something completely different from Red Room?
Yeah, no, that's the way to go. And then when you do render things in such a simplified cartoony thing, then you can have a moment like this where you draw a million of them. You know, you've kind of conserved your energies, and then you can.
It's one of the hallmarks of Sergio Aragonés.
Yeah.
You know, we'll do that stuff, those big 2-page spreads in Gru and in Mad Magazine and things, where he's just flexing his chops. Like, oh, don't think that I just do these, like, little margin gags.
Yeah, there's nothing
like,
simple.
I'm a drawing motherfucker.
Nothing simple about what he does.
Check out our Sergio Aragonés shoot interview.
Great interview. Very inspiring.
This fuck. I hate this piece of shit.
But
man.
that's the Pavlovian response I'm talking about.
You're right.
Like this guy has ruined your day a number of times, like, you know, throughout your life.
Yeah, you are correct, man. Beautiful cartooning. That's the other thing too, man. Like, I'm very excited to not be bound by perspective grids and things.
And then as a bonus, you get like a little Wario origin story, which I enjoyed a lot.
Wario was like brand new at this time, man. Probably just a Game Boy game, I think.
And this is a little like Cobra Kai, where it's like from Wario's perspective, and Mario is the villain. He's like the goody-goody who's like ruined this guy's life.
Their little kid versions.
Yeah.
And it's good cartooning, right? Like, here's a flashback. You don't color that the same. Cartooning 101. Is this shit from the Game Boy game? I never had a Game Boy.
I mean, those are things from Wario. Like, those pigs are part of Wario's games, yeah. Yeah, Wario's got his own iconography across a number of games that's been refined. And, you know, like, there is a separate Wario fandom. You know?
Is that so?
Yeah.
There it is, man. 12 comic episodes presented in 12 issues of Nintendo Power from January to December in 1992. One of the most sort of important years in our life, lifetime in comics, the height of the game, Image Revolution, and Nintendo was over there doing a couple of interesting things with the comics medium.
Yeah.
It makes sense that at the height of comics, you inject, 10% of your Nintendo power becomes comics. It would be this, and it would be the Link one would be coming right after that, I think, man. Great little item to look at. I know this is going to be a nostalgia bomb for a nice chunk of the audience, and I think there's a lot of inspirational takeaways from the production of this comic in specific, certainly that color. Thank you so much for bringing this over.
Yeah, sure.
Tom, give the people a little clue on what you have going on right now.
Check out Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. Fantastic 4 grand design. Go to my Patreon. You can see different comics I've been making over the past couple years, as well as some older things like you can read the entirety of Satan's Soldier there. Download the PDF. And you can check out my YouTube channel, Total Recall Show.
Red Room Trigger Warnings trade paperback in stores September 2022. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit is the name of the game. You can order and pre-order these comics at my link tree in the description below this video. You can read the comics today on my Patreon. $3 will get you the archive there. Almost 300 pages worth of material up there as we speak. All of Red Room, the Antisocial Network. All of Red Room Trigger Warnings. And I'm serializing the next round of Red Room comics there before it hits paper. Like I said, $3 for the archive there. We have a Cartoonist Kayfabe spread shop where we are selling Cartoonist Kayfabe swag, t-shirts, hoodies, baseball caps, baby onesies, and the occasional fanny pack. Thank you guys so much for supporting our channel that way. It really helps a lot with the production of these episodes and keeping this whole train rolling. Jimmy is not here today, Tom, so it is up to you, my friend. Please give them the marching orders so that we can go on about our day.
Read more comics.